All right.
Hi, good to see you again.
Here we are in a new location.
Yes.
Yeah, we had to move it inside.
New old location.
This is where originally we were going to do it in the music room.
Right.
And then we tried the office.
Right.
And it felt too tight. But I think we've learned how to use the space better since then. And now that it's cold on our porch.
We went from new podcasters to, we went from like novice freshman to like,
yeah,
we're like finishing out our freshman year right now.
For real. I think the content is strong. I think the visuals have needed some improvement.
We're still working on it.
Yeah.
We're still working on it.
We're getting there.
We're going to keep getting better and better as we go through.
As we go.
Every few episodes, we'll kind of make an upgrade.
We're up to 15 now.
It sounds like a lot.
I know.
It
I know
sounds like a lot. Like,
yeah.
we have 15 episodes.
Right.
You know, how many people like don't make it to 15 episodes?
Yeah, I'd love to see the stats on that.
Because I feel really good about what we've done so far. And I feel like we are now kind of, it's not a new season. We're not doing seasons.
No.
But we took a little hiatus.
Yes.
We came back with a couple of episodes with our kids.
Right.
Who've been wanting to talk about some subjects. And we thought, I mean, if you have a podcast and you don't have your kids on it, what's the point of that?
What's the point of that?
Don't you want everybody to see what your kids look like?
I know.
And what
they're so
like?
cool.
They are so cool and so cute. Okay, so now we're getting into a whole new kind of like set of podcast episodes. I'm really excited about them.
Here we go.
Here we go. So this is Photography is Nothing. I'm Courtney McCracken.
And I'm Zach Dobson.
This is a podcast about photography.
And life.
And today...
It's about...
What?
Bokeh.
Bokeh.
Bokeh, bokeh, bokeh.
Bokeh de Beppo.
And one of the things I was looking up about Bokeh, I'm always like, am I pronouncing this right?
Oh, I'm very nervous about pronouncing it wrong.
So I'm saying yes, it is correct. I learned the origins of Bokeh.
Okay.
It comes from Japanese.
Okay.
And the terms like bokeh aji, which means like bokeh is like blur and aji is like the quality of blur. I guess the first time it was mentioned in the English-speaking press was in 1997 in Photo Techniques magazine.
It's like that recent.
It's that recent. Let's see. It said Mike Johnston, the editor, says, quote, "It is properly pronounced with bo as in bone and ke as in Kenneth with equal stress on either syllable."
That's not a thing you can do.
Bokeh. Bokeh.
Yeah. But just so,
Bokeh.
That's not a thing you can do. You can't put equal stress on two syllables without it pausing. Bokeh.
Bokeh.
Bokeh. But either
Okay.
way, I'm okay with it. And somebody's going to tell me I'm wrong about that, but I disagree.
It is sometimes pronounced bokeh.
But it's more like bokeh.
But it's all, it's
Okay.
There's no accent. Bokeh.
This is an
But
important
I'm saying
aspect.
bokeh.
Bokeh, because that's
Yeah.
like the Americanized
Midwesternized
pronunciation
too. Yeah.
of it. So we're going to go with that's how we say it. So we're going to call it that.
Yeah.
And hope that's okay with everybody. But this is obviously a very popular technique in the photography world. Maybe you're familiar with it. Maybe you're not.
Yeah.
But you are familiar with it.
You are.
Whether or not you know that's what it's called.
Well, that's like one of the first questions new photographers ask me is like, how do I get that background blur?
Sure.
So they know about bokeh even if they don't know the word for it.
Okay, so tell us about
That's their like vision of what a professional photograph is.
Yes, that's why everybody loves
Portrait mode
on the iPhones.
Yeah.
Because it makes you look like a pro. And I definitely rely on that a lot as a not pro.
Yeah.
I love portrait mode. And I'm okay if that makes me basic because my pictures look cute of my kids.
They're very cute.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's great for getting just like picturesque little vignettes of your life.
Yeah.
And so, okay, so first of all, explain to us what it is.
Well, so it's the out of focus area, both in front of and behind where the subject is.
So anywhere in the picture that the out of focus is.
It's the quality of the kind of blurry parts of the photo.
Okay.
So most of the time people are thinking of it as background blur.
Sure.
But if there's an object in the foreground that's out of focus, it's also foreground blur.
Yeah, so some of you layering photographers like you.
Like me.
Love to put them in the front.
I love foreground blur.
You do.
We'll get more into that too.
Okay, so it's the blur around the picture. And when are some great like, I mean, tell us
Well,
more
people
about what
do
you
it for portraits a lot because it makes the subject pop from the background. You don't get the distractions in the background because they're out of focus.
So it draws your attention to where you want people to look.
Where you're putting the focus, yes. And so you're getting that primarily from a shallow depth of field.
Okay.
So I think most people listening to this podcast will have some concept of what that is. If you don't, I mean, we're talking about aperture. We're talking about a really low number like f1.4 or 2.0 or 2.8 that gives you that narrow depth of field. The smaller the aperture gets, the more is in focus from foreground to background.
Okay.
Right. So the other things that contribute to that is the focal length of the lens. So a long lens, like a 200 millimeter lens, is going to have generally more of that effect because you get more of a separation between the subject and the background.
Okay.
You can achieve this with a wide angle too, but it's typically the subject has to be very, very close to the camera, the more of the background blur that you want.
Okay.
So, the other thing is it's more closely associated with typically more expensive lenses because to have those lenses that really let a lot of light in, it's a big piece of glass usually.
Okay.
So they usually tend to cost more money too, which just kind of adds to that whole like, this is what professionals do.
Sure, because of the gear involved.
If you have less expensive gear, beginner gear, you can get this sort of effect. You just got to kind of have to know what you're doing a little bit more.
Okay.
So you're probably not going to get it. A camera comes with a kit lens. It's usually like, equivalent of like a 24 millimeter to an 85 millimeter. So you're probably not going to be able to get it at that 24. But when you get to the 85, even if you have a high aperture like an f5, f5.6, you can get it by having the subject a lot closer to the lens.
Okay.
Will help you get that effect.
Okay.
So for the newer people, you can't buy a $1,000-$2,000 lens and you have the kit lens, then try, zooming all the way in tight and having the subject closer to the camera. And that's going to help with the whole situation.
Okay.
But so that's kind of the practical, but we don't stick to the practical around here. Like, what's the purpose of it?
So, okay. So when do we see bokeh? So we talked like in portraiture, but like where else do we see this?
A lot of
concept?
abstract work too. It's going to happen a lot naturally in low light because you need to, and I'm going to talk about just available light photography and not using flash of any kind. You're photographing in low light, you need a wide open aperture, and then that means you're going to get a lot of bokeh.
And that's why we talked about doing this episode right now, because we are getting into winter.
Yeah.
And there's a lot more situations that people are photographing in lower light.
Yes.
Just naturally.
Yeah, so there's a lot of holiday lights. And what that can mean, practically speaking, I brought up a couple things to show the difference. So when you're talking about lights like holiday lights, when you're photographing the lights from further away, they're just these little pinpoints. But when you get that bokeh, they take up physically like a lot more space in the frame.
Sure.
So the lights look a lot bigger
Than they actually are.
Because as the light gets more and more out of focus, the circle of the blur gets bigger and bigger.
Yes. And I really love this particular picture, for one thing. I love this picture. It's like my favorite colors. And you took this a long time ago. We've had this forever.
Yeah, it's probably been about 6 years now.
Yeah. And so I really love this picture. And I really, this picture's from Newfield's Winter Lights, which is like, I don't know. They say like hundreds of thousands. A million lights.
It's like 1.5 million now. They just keep adding more lights.
They do add more lights. And it's walking through their grounds.
Yeah.
They're all lit. And it's really beautiful.
Yeah.
Highly recommend if you're here during the season of Winter Lights.
Yeah.
It's worth it. Plus, you get to go in the Lily house.
It's the home of the Eli Lilly family. Was the home of the Eli Lilly
which is what
family
the
around like 1920.
So it's like it is very cool.
It's a whole estate.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is what the Newfields campus is built on.
Right.
It was donated. So But anyways, getting back to this, you get lots of great lights pictures every time we go to Newfields Winter Lights.
Going to get photos with these abstract lights, it's really like, it goes to what I say all the time, thinking of the foreground all the way through the background of the picture. I mean, a lot of people are just thinking about the subject. Mm-hmm. And then as you get a little more advanced, you think about what's behind the subject. And as you get even more advanced, you also think about what's in front of the subject, and how you can incorporate all of these things. And what's cool about something like this, Winter Lights, where they have millions of lights, is that you can kind of pick a point of focus. Like in this photo, it's the blue and white lights are in focus, and you can tell, there's the little like flower shapes, and they're sharp. But then these pink lights are way closer to the camera. So they're actually in front of all these blue lights. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of like the foreground bokeh. And then behind, there's these golden orangey kind of lights.
Sure.
That's the background. And then those are also out of focus. So you get, you get these 3 different layers.
Right.
And I mean, I can't say exact distances because it's been so long, but I'd say like there's probably at least like 30 feet between the pink lights and the blue lights. It's a significant amount of space. Mm-hmm. And then between the pink lights and the orange lights behind it, it's probably like 100 feet.
Yeah.
Or more. So a lot of times what I'll do is have the lights in the foreground, like almost physically touching my lens. Mm-hmm. That just really magnifies the effect.
So what else? Did you have some more pictures that you wanted to use as examples of?
Yeah, well, I'll put some in as we talk about it too, but I liked this. So a lot of times what I'll do is find a point of focus. Like they had this big tree that this artist designed with all these old toys, like plastic sleds and baby swimming pools and stuff that was, probably 30, 40 feet tall. Mm-hmm. It's a good point of focus, but then it's like
not that interesting to take.
Not that interesting by itself,
yeah.
Especially if you're trying to show most of it. Then if I was photographing this by itself, it'd just be kind of like black.
This is a great example of something that's extremely interesting when you're standing there. And if you took a picture of it, it's not going to translate.
It's hard to translate into a photo.
Yeah,
it's very impressive when you're standing next to it.
Yeah, because it's really cool to see all the details. So I just want to be clear, this is actually a very neat art installation. But
yeah,
I'm sure that most people's photographs of it are kind of don't land. You're like, no, it's really cool.
Yeah, I'll tag the artist. But side note on this, and this is what everyone should do if you ever want to sell prints of things that involve someone else's art, is you should contact the artist for permission.
Yes.
Which I did. I contacted this artist. He's based in Minnesota. And I gave him a copy of the picture and asked if I could sell prints of it. And he was like, yeah, go for it. Mm-hmm. So there's that as a side note. But yeah, so I wanted to fill the frame up with other points of interest. So I walked around and found these lights that I could shoot through. Yeah. And again, the lights are probably 50 to 100 feet away from where the actual tree is.
Okay.
So the more you can kind of exaggerate these distances with how close the foreground is to your lens, and also kind of using the telephoto. I don't know. I might have been shooting at like 200 millimeters, between 120 and 200.
Okay.
So you can do it with shorter lenses, but it just kind of heightens the effect when you have longer lenses.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and then you had some other styles besides Christmas lights. What did we?
Yeah. So talking about.
Where do we see it? Oh, there's more of that tree. You should put that in there. Okay.
I like this one. I like is a good example of these people standing at an esports tournament, and the person. This gives you kind of a perspective of how the distance affects things, because this is the person's hand. He's got his arm outstretched and his hand on the glass. And so you kind of know, okay, that's how far of a distance you need to get this sort of blur.
Sure.
It's like an arm's length.
Sure.
With probably a, 50 millimeter lens on this. So I like that one.
Okay.
Two I like to do when I'm photographing either a street style or events, I love to take a picture where I'm using a wider lens. Like this is a 35 millimeter, and having it very close to a person. Like the person who is not the focus of this photo, like my lens is probably about 6 inches from this guy's face.
He was very comfortable with you being there.
Yeah, well, it's also kind of when you're at an event like this and there's lots of people, it doesn't feel so obtrusive because we're all
right up
packed
on top of
in.
each
We're all
people
packed in
anyways,
tightly, and also
you've also been
the center
photographing
of his
this
camera
event for a very long time.
The what?
You also have photographed that event many, many times by the time you took these pictures.
That's true. So I was kind of used to the environment.
Well, and I think that people are probably familiar seeing you there who were annual attendees and stuff.
Well, the thing about this too, when you have this is better to get with a wider angle because even though I'm not close to this guy, the center of the lens is not pointed at his face.
Right.
So he's not going to feel like I'm pointing the camera at him 6 inches from his face. He feels like I'm pointing it past him towards this other guy.
Yeah.
And they're not going to realize like I'm kind of picking them up in the frame.
Sure.
So like a 28 or a 24 millimeter would be good for this sort of thing too.
Okay.
Shooting in these sort of close environments. But that's something I love photographers when they do this sort of thing. Obviously, you don't want every photo to look like this, but it's a cool effect. It kind of turns a person into this sort of like abstract impressionist.
They're kind of part of the setting.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's an effect that I like. Some of these pictures I'll put in here too, because when you've got like something that's going away from the camera, like these racing helmets, you can kind of see how the blur increases or decreases. So this guy's looking at these racing helmets and the ones right in front of him are in focus. And you can see, because there's one after another, as they get closer to the camera, how the blur increases and becomes more abstract.
Yes.
Yeah, so I thought that was a good example. This one, too, I mean, you can see how the lights closer to the camera are... you still get the form of the lamp, but as it moves away, it becomes more and more abstract until the back is just a circle.
Okay, I'm sorry, because I have never noticed that woman's hands on
Oh,
the
you've seen this photo,
performers.
but you didn't know? Yeah.
No, so hilarious.
Yes.
Okay, I love that.
Yeah, this is from a drag brunch I photographed last year.
I thought of that picture.
Yeah, this is a more recent one from this summer with the goggles. I guess showed it on the swimming episode.
Yep.
Yeah, and then so this again, you've got foreground and background blur.
Yeah, obviously this lends. Yeah, this technique lends itself to a lot of different situations.
Yeah, so I always think, it's good for storytelling because it does, like you said earlier, it helps direct people's eye. So it does give you a sense of a place. If everything's in focus, the things as they go from foreground to background can start to stack on top of each other and it becomes harder to read. Whereas like using the blur, using bokeh, you can have this just an impression. So you still are guiding somebody's eye to the main point of focus, but then what's in the background or foreground gives you more of a sense of place without distracting or overtaking what you actually want to show as the main focus.
So these are your picture. And I also, see, like you've got some really interesting ones here. So what was that a picture of?
This is one I use a lot. I was photographing the Riot LA Comedy Festival, and they were doing this show that involved a projector. It was actually a really cool show where they paired an artist and a comedian, like an illustrator. They'd pair like an illustrator and a comedian, and the comedian would do their set, and then the illustrator would draw on a screen that came up behind the person, like interpreting or doing caricatures of the performer. Okay. So it was a really cool concept. But I noticed while I was standing in the back near the artist that the projector was shining on all these dust particles in the air. So it was really dark. So I just, focused manually kind of in the middle of the light beam at a low aperture, probably f1.4 or maybe 2, probably 1.4. And so as the dust particles are closer and further away from the camera, they become these sorts of like abstract specks. And I liked how the background was just this kind of nice very dark blue.
Yeah.
Yeah, real simple image.
Yeah, it's a really pretty color.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we've used this in a lot of different
It's great
like, backgrounds.
It's
a great
great
background.
for backgrounds. It's great for like headers on social media or whatever.
So, yeah, that might look familiar to anyone who's been on
Yeah,
any of
I think
our
I either have it on
places.
my Facebook or
I think it's on Facebook and YouTube. Maybe is
YouTube. I think you're
channel.
right.
And then we used it as the low light guide
That's true.
backdrop too.
We should pull that back out.
I think we should. I think we should give
Leave
that
a
little-
comment if you want.
Yeah,
a
would you like to see the low light
photography
guide? That was a really popular download way back when. Okay. So maybe we could brush that off. And
I think
update
this
it.
is another good example from an esports tournament that has the sort of showing how this focuses the eye, but also gives you more information. So really focusing on the main subject here in the middle of the three people. But you get, if it was just one person, it'd be less interesting. So now that you have multiple people, this is a team playing, and you just kind of get the impression of them. But then in the back on the ceiling, you can see the logo for the team, Butler University Esports. And so that tells more of the story, gives more of a sense of place. Yet by being slightly out of focus, it's not taking your eye away from the main point of focus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah, great stuff.
I don't know if I have anything else to say about it.
Just a lot of good
Yeah,
ones.
just some other examples.
Some good examples. Okay, so what I'm curious about is do you have a photographer that you feel like uses bokeh in a very unique or interesting way?
I do. I was like racking my brain trying to think of who really uses bokeh as a really effective tool. I mean, every photographer almost uses it. And, actually it's funny because I talk so much about street photography and stuff, but street photography is the one area where people don't use it very much.
Okay. I mean, what do you mean by that? Why do you think that is?
Well, so...
Is it because they're not very close to their subjects?
That's one of the times.
Okay.
A lot of times, street photographers are a little bit further away. The best ones, in my opinion, my favorite street photographers still are getting in there close.
Right.
But what they're doing is, especially traditionally, they're using manual focus cameras, and it's really hard to set focus when you're bouncing around on the street trying to capture images in a moment. So they're doing like what's called a zone focusing, where they're shooting at a higher aperture, like f8, maybe more like f11 or even higher, because then, more of the area from the foreground to the background is in focus. So they don't have to worry about getting precise focusing. They can just set it to, say, like 3 feet from them or 5 feet from them.
Okay.
And then a bigger area is going to be in focus. So a lot of the street photographers, Gary Winogrand, Vivian Mayer, Helen Levitt, Bruce Gilden, they're going to be photographing at a higher aperture to get more in focus. So the photographer that I thought of with bokeh and how effective they use it is the Russian photographer Gueorgui Pinkhassov. His photos, when I first saw them, just like blew me away because they have this real like magical, even cinematic quality to them.
Yeah.
And he is shooting a lot of street photography and using this.
Okay, let's look at some
effectively.
pictures. I think that some of us, like me, may be familiar with Pinkhassov because of the videos that you've made.
Yeah.
About his photography.
Yeah, so this one's from, I think, the subway in Tokyo.
Okay.
And it's the first image that I saw of his, and it was printed full page in this book that I have. And I'm just like, what is this? Like, how did this happen? Where did it come from? What is the, because you've got this, looks like a schoolgirl. Looks like she has on some kind of uniform, but she's out of focus. But she's behind some sort of glass or window that's reflecting all these bright points of like pinkish colored light.
Yeah, the colors are so striking in this picture,
and the shallow depth of field right away, you just get this impression of a person
like going past.
It
really gives the sense of like,
it's a beautiful image. And I remember I got that book to do a video about.
Okay.
And then I made it about him and this, and how I was so like incensed at like, how have I never seen this before? Anyways, I'll have to link to that.
Yeah.
Because it was still an old school video. But as I went on to learn more about his photography, he uses this technique so much. Like, I love this image of like, he's in some sort of, it looks like apartment or home.
It feels so intimate without being nosy.
It does. Yeah.
It's like you're there, but like you're not, I don't know. You're not like stealing from the moment or like intruding.
That's true. Yeah. The image, from what you can tell, it looks like a parent and two small children sitting at a dinner table. And it's got this really warm, almost candlelight sort of color to it.
Yeah.
It might be candlelight. I think there's a candle in the middle of the table. And they're out of focus significantly. So you just get this sense that they're there, and the plates and the dishes. And the focus is out the window on the tree and maybe sort of a park-like setting below. Looks like they're in an apartment building, maybe like three, maybe 4 stories up.
Yeah.
And it's just this sort of like, yeah, that's a good way to put it. It feels like an intimate moment, but we're not like privy to the identification of the people in it.
Yeah.
And the colors. The other thing he does so effectively is color.
I mean, they look like a movie.
Yeah. Well,
It's like a movie still.
it's interesting that you say that, because he went to film school.
Okay.
And then right out of school, he met this famous Russian director. I might say his first name wrong. I'm sorry. Andrei Tarkovsky. I know Tarkovsky's his last name. And he said like that Tarkovsky's films completely changed his perspective on what photography could be.
Okay.
And and I'll put a clip of Tarkovsky over this part so you can see some of the way that he uses the same sort of bokeh effects of the blurred foreground or background to tell a story.
Okay.
Yeah, so they definitely have a cinematic quality to them.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
His use of light and shadow is amazing as well. I'm like, this is one of my favorite images of his. I think it's a hotel lobby.
Yeah.
And there's some sort of maybe like architectural facade that this light's coming in through. So the whole picture is dappled, and you have these figures. The figures in the foreground are the ones who are out of focus.
Right.
I love that, because then the focus is on the smaller part of the picture. And it kind of has this air of mystery around the people in the foreground.
Yeah. Well, and it's almost like, like the subject is actually the location.
That's a great point.
You know?
Yeah.
It's the lamp and like the setting. So it's like a hotel lobby.
Right.
You know? And so it's like a conference, and this is like business people, or
it might be politicians or
something. But it's like the setting is kind of the important part.
Yeah, totally.
And
Totally.
so
We don't know. It doesn't matter who the people are.
You definitely get a vibe from it.
It's a vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, you kind of get a feel for like what's happening here. Wow.
Yeah. I don't even know what's going on this one.
Look at the tile floor and like the reflection. How many layers? There's like, this is the middle's reflection.
So the thing that you get into with photographers like Pinkhassov, who do a lot with windows and glass and reflection, is that adds a whole nother dimension, because you're used to, as a person or a photographer, you're looking at what's in front of you. And then when you add in this element of glass reflecting, like then you're also incorporating what's behind you into the photo. So you've got kind of like the main point of focus in this middle ground, and then what's inside the building is another element, and then what's behind you through the reflection is like a third element.
Right.
And he's doing a lot of this at a lower aperture, so the other stuff falls more out of focus, becomes more abstract.
Yeah.
That's
a really cool picture.
Yeah, I was looking for another.
Very cool. That's kind of like your people in Florida.
Oh,
behind the screen.
Right.
Like a very similar effect is happening.
Yeah. I think, and what he does a lot is then
where you can see the exterior of the building in the picture, so you know where they are. That's very similar, Zach.
Well, I think I've been influenced by him as well. Although I think when I took the
that
picture...
picture is older than this than you knew this picture.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I was going to say that,
Yeah,
too.
so don't like, I mean, I think it's totally great to be influenced by great photographers.
Yeah.
By all means.
But I don't want to give away all of my
No, but
creativity.
I think that you actually took a picture just like this also. And they're very similar. So please, like, let's make sure we share that. Okay.
Yeah, we'll put them together. Something else that's interesting about this, too, is that a lot of times, you know, where the more obvious choice might be to put the point of focus on the diners sitting there behind the glass, his point of focus is on the tree that's actually behind him.
Right.
But it's being reflected in the glass. So it's interesting how then, you know, using bokeh, using the shallow depth of field, the quality of what's out of focus really changes depending on where you put the focus.
Yeah, this is also, I think, like made to be even better because of the very slight color that you see in it, and it's repeating. I think that really takes it up a notch.
That's why I love Pinkhassov's work so much, is because he's working on so many levels. Like, yes, he's using bokeh, he's using shallow depth of field, but his color is amazing. He does a lot of photos where, like, it's one or two colors that dominate the whole frame, which is, you know, pretty advanced to be able to find that and do it and make it work. Yeah. And like I said, with the reflections on top of that too, I mean, he's putting so much. It's this sort of maximalism that I love in a picture.
Every one of his pictures is like you know exactly where you are. I mean, you don't know it all, but you know, like you've been to a place like this. Do we ever see him in his pictures? You know?
Well, that's a good question. I would say not that I can think of. Some photographers, like...
With all this reflection, that's like pretty impressive.
Yeah. I used to be very... coming from a photojournalism background, like I don't want to be in the reflection. I don't want my shadow in the picture. I feel like I've talked about this before. But Lee Friedlander affected how I felt about that. He includes his shadow or reflection in a lot of his pictures.
Yeah.
And so when I shoot images like this with like a lot of reflection and things like that, I'll let myself show up in there if it kind of works. But he doesn't. I don't ever recall seeing him. He has a whole series. He shoots on public transit a lot, and I think he's done a series on it.
Okay.
So you'll see this a lot, and it's interesting seeing a city through its public transit. I mean, you get a sense of the place while also getting a sense of the people.
Yeah.
And then also how people move through the space.
Sure.
Yeah, this is another one that I love. It's similar to the dining one. This has a table and
the like juxtaposition. He uses like soft and harsh, and you know, the colors go, you know what I mean?
Yeah, the color palettes are fantastic.
Yeah, just very cool.
I love a good like.
I feel like
minimal...
you could use them as like design, like as your like vision board. What do they call that? Like mood board.
A mood board.
You can use it to like build your mood board for your room.
Definitely a mood.
He is. It's really interesting.
Yeah.
I'd love to know more about him.
Yeah. Well.
So, we could read
I do have a must-know photographer video about him.
Okay.
So I'll link to that.
This is so pretty.
Yeah. It's really...
this next to the other one would be a really nice little like pair. Because the colors are the same.
Yeah, that's a good point. And you should do the design for one of his books.
I'm available.
Yeah, right. I think the other thing about it, too, is it's a way to take kind of a typical, less interesting space and make it more interesting. Like to find these elements, you know, where can you find lights reflected? Where can you get some like foreground or background blur to give more depth and dimension and find more visual interest in kind of an everyday scene. Yeah.
Well, I think this has been like a really good episode about being able to use a photography technique to elicit or like to get to a certain idea, like a concept, like you're talking about. And that's what we really see through. You can make spaces a lot more interesting, like you were showing us with a lot of your pictures.
Yeah.
And then he's really creating, Pinkhassov in his pictures, we're seeing a lot about, like you're saying, about the spaces and the people and the moods and the energy, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That are really coming through, or at least like his imagined feelings. I mean, we don't know, like, would it feel this way when we're there? But I mean, you definitely feel like it would feel that way. And they do feel familiar.
Yeah.
His photographs feel familiar.
What I love about it too is it can add this sort of like sense of magic to the everyday.
Yeah.
And because it is, I mean, I know you feel the same way. Like the world is magic.
Absolutely.
Amazing things happen in just like every place, even regular places.
Magic happens every day, all day.
Everywhere.
Yes.
Yeah.
Totally. So, well, this was a great episode. I hope people like it. If you would love to get a low light guide, do leave us a comment.
Yeah.
I don't know, say low light guide. And then also, if you think you want to tell us better how to say Bokeh as not Hoosiers.
Yeah, if you have a different way to say it.
We would love to hear it. I don't know how you're going to say that. You can just write it how you would say it.
Yeah. Write it phonetically.
Phonetically, that's right. And then also, I just want to say, please be sure to like, subscribe, and follow us across social media.
Yep.
We have lots of new episodes coming out.
Yeah.
Every Wednesday, new episodes are dropping here into Evermore, as far as we know. And we are really glad that you're here.
Yeah.
So please stick around and tell us what you think.
Sounds great.
Okay. Good episode.
Yeah.
We did it.
Okay, hold on. I want to do one. Do you have a second?
Yes. But I do want to check in with Henri.